Welcome to Hollywood Unreel, the Insiders Podcast, where we'll rip down the velvet ropes, kick over the director's chairs, and tell you what's really going on deep behind the scenes in the film and TV production industry. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Hollywood was once the epicenter of a historic community where the most talented filmmakers and crews have thrived. Now, feature films and TV shows have disappeared to any back alley that offers a tax incentive and a decent breakfast burrito. Runaway production, new media, Hollywood retraction, and labor strikes are the new dirty words of Hollywood. Hosted by industry veterans Romeo Carey, Mike Risoli, and featuring Michael Kehoe. Get your popcorn ready. This is Hollywood Unreel.
Welcome to another episode.
We have that opening with the bongos.
That's right, the bongos. We're still looking for our vocal, celebrity. I was gonna do an impression of Lawrence Tierney as the opening.
That would be hilarious.
That would be good. That's one of my favorites.
Maybe we'll give it a try.
Hey kid, how are you?
This is Hollywood Unreal.
Yeah, Hollywood Unreal. So now you've got a really interesting guest. This is a real Hollywood veteran that I think it's gonna be exactly up our alley.
Yeah, it's a great treat, I think, for the podcast and the show.
I've got a show to do.
I know.
So Romeo Carey will be exiting, and Michael Risoli will be taking over.
All right.
And he's going to introduce really kind of a lifelong friend.
Yeah,
right.
Very much. Lifelong friend in this business for sure.
Yeah, that's a rarity too.
It is. It really is.
You have to have some serious consistency.
We'll talk about it. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we met basically when we were kids. That's the business. I mean, we were adults, but we were kids.
Oh, could you take us from that? I want to hear that. I want to listen to that podcast. I like it where it started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The origin stories.
Yeah, I always like that. With that, good luck with that show.
And good luck with your award show.
I got an awards ceremony to attend, and
I hope we win.
We hope we win. And I'll keep you posted.
Please.
Au revoir.
Thanks, Romeo.
You're welcome.
And with that, I will introduce our guest, my guest today. Michael Kehoe is here. Hey, thank you. Whoa, easy, Michael. Easy. We don't want you. We don't want you to sue.
It's okay.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Good.
Good to see you. So, Hollywood veteran and professional for 40 years?
I got in the business 40 years ago, yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. 40 years. I tell people 30 plus because I don't want to seem old. But you don't care.
I don't care. I don't care how old I am. I don't care. I mean, I think it's just your frame of mind. You know, the numbers don't mean anything, you know?
I hear you.
So,
yeah, I got to get over that.
Yeah.
But we were talking a little bit about, and what we do on this is, when we have a guest especially, is we want to hear, how you got started and like the origin story of Michael Kehoe.
Well, when I was I born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Right.
Like you.
I'm Bronx.
Bronx, okay.
Well, close enough.
Yeah. And a little bit of it. But my mother was a director.
Robbie has Brooklyn roots, by the way.
Oh, really?
My parents.
Flatbush?
Yeah, Pennsylvania, Livonia.
Yep, I know the area very well.
Our producer, Robbie Curtis, in the shadows, always.
And my mother was Betty Kehoe, who was she was a director for like theater, there. And I watched her when I think I was like 6 or 7 years old, directing people around. I thought, man, that's what I want to do.
Oh, I didn't know that. You had a link to it.
But just local theater. It wasn't anything on Broadway or anything.
Right.
And then we moved to upstate New York. And I got involved. Ithaca, yeah. Mm-hmm. I got involved in theater. I was playing soccer. I was in a rock band. So I got to be with all the different cliques, Right. And I wanted to do a play, and I decided to put on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I didn't know what a producer did, so I had no idea.
Great.
And
great choice.
I was doing it for the Booster Club, for I guess to raise money because they did bake sales and they did. Right. All these other things.
And was that something like you saw? Was the movie out at the time? I know that
the movie had been out already.
Yeah, and that did start as a play.
Correct. Yeah, it was on Broadway with Michael Douglas. Yeah, or Kirk Douglas.
Yes, exactly.
Kirk Douglas. And so I
Michael directed produced the movie.
Produced the movie, correct. So when I did it, I was trying to get it done, and they only gave me the school from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So what I did was,
Sounds familiar.
this is the sneaky producer that I became. I ended up going down to the maintenance janitor, and I said I left something in the auditorium, and he never wanted to be bothered when he was eating lunch. And I said, Al, I need the keys, and I'll go back and get it. He said, okay. And he was just started lunch. Got the keys. I went down, got in my car because I was 17 at the time. Drove down to a place, had a key made, came back in there, and now I had a key to get in there. And I ended up staying until midnight building the set.
And what was it? This is like a community center?
No, this was the high school.
The high school. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
As we're talking from Beverly Hills High.
yeah. But I mean, it brought me walking through the halls here.
Podcast Central.
So we did the play, and it was a hit. And instead of doing 2 nights, we ended up doing 6 nights because it was sold out. But I ended up thinking, and this is a producer which I didn't know about producing. I wanted to pack the theater, so how could I do it? So all the people who were the crazies in the play,
Right.
I got the football team because the football team would always have a
Their
big crowd.
parents show up.
Yeah.
You know, they're
So we did it, and we packed the house every night, made money, and then I went to the American Academy of
Oh,
Dramatic
smart.
Arts, then moved to
and dramatic arts
California.
in New York City.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's is that where the movie Fame?
No, that was I forget the name of the school for that. It was School of Performing Arts.
That's performing.
But Robert Redford, Danny DeVito,
Uh-huh.
a bunch of people went there
Oh, cool.
for that. And then I moved out here.
So you started really young.
Yeah. I mean, I was dreaming all the time.
Good.
And then I got here, and I was a bartender after college.
And don't tell me. Wow, I was there.
Yeah.
Starts with an S.
Now it starts with a W.
Wow.
Well, Stanley's you went to.
Stanley's.
That was after I was at
That was
Wom
at
Poppers. which
Wom
was on the hill.
Poppers.
Yeah.
In Universal City.
Right.
Yes.
And this guy used to come in, and he was like my brother, and he said, I said, so what do you do? And he said, well, I'm an accountant on a show, but I'm writing a screenplay, like everybody has a screenplay. And I said, I got to get out of here, man. So one day he came up and he said, I'm on a show. He says, I got you an opportunity to go for an interview. I said, with who? He said, there's a guy, his name is Jim Brubaker.
Uh-huh.
You're going to go down to meet him, and you're going to get on this show that we're doing. I didn't know what the show was.
Now, Jim Brubaker is a legendary producer who
Right.
Produced the Rocky movies.
The Rocky
I wanna
movies.
say. All
he
the
was
Rocky
also
movies?
Tom Shadyack's producer.
Uh-huh.
He ran that company for a while.
Right.
So I met with him, and I ended up being on Rocky IV,
Uh-huh.
Stallone's assistant,
Oh, wow.
for about 3
I
months.
didn't know this.
But then Kevin Elders, who was the guy that I met at Wom Poppers, came in and said to me, "You're leaving."
Was he the DJ at one point?
Kevin? No. That was Pat the Fat Kid.
At the fat kid.
Yeah. So Kevin said to me, I'm getting you out. We're leaving. I said, why? He says, that movie that I did, that I was writing, was used to be called Junior Eagle.
Uh-huh.
It's now called Iron Eagle, and we're taking off, and you're going to work.
You're an eagle.
So I went with
Louis
them.
Gossett Jr.
Louis Gossett Jr., yeah. Jason Gedrick, who was my roommate, which there's something else with him that adds to the story. So I was.
in a way, I want to say it was Top Gun-ish in a way.
It was before Top Gun.
Yes, and before Top Gun with a younger lead character.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Kid.
Right.
Basically.
And what happened was when they finished and they were in post, Sidney Furie and Kevin Elders said to me, "You got to go down to this stage and be our spy." I said, "What?" He said, "They're cutting a movie." And I said, "Okay." And I went in.
So wait, before you get too far, I'm sorry. Did you work on Rocky IV?
For 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. And you got good experience.
No, it was the training part where Sly was training.
Uh-huh.
So Sly was in the gym. Dolph was in the gym.
Uh-huh. Cool.
A bunch of other guys that were working out.
Right. All the boxing
All
parts.
the boxing partners, yeah. And then
And a good experience with Brubaker.
great experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it opened the door.
He's known to be a tough guy.
Tough, very tough.
He's like one of those old school,
Yeah. Yeah.
producers that people were
But-
in fear of. But I've met him, and he's super nice. He
Extremely
was.
fair.
He
Extremely
passed
fair.
away.
Yeah.
Super nice guy, and he actually ended up helping me out of it.
Yeah. He's helped a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So they told me to go to the stage, and I went in. I sat in the back, and I saw this guy sitting there with a pink hat and a cigar.
Mm-hmm.
It was Tony Scott,
And they were producing,
and they were
He was-
editing, or they were running the rushes, the dailies
Mhm.
for Top Gun. because I saw all these jets going by. And
Oh,
thinking,
wow.
holy crap,
Go
this
back
is
to
huge.
college.
Yeah. But then working on Iron Eagle, we did some plane work, and I was on the set, and Art Schaefer was the production manager, and he came out. We were all looking, and there was a plane was going up, and the craft service guy was in there, and he said, "Where's the craft service guy?" And he pointed to the sky where the plane was, and he said, "Well, when he comes down, tell him he's fired." And he got fired. So I called my brother, and I said, "Jamie, my brother is, you know Jamie."
I know Jamie well.
So I said, "Jamie, there's this job."
Bigger
called-"
character than you.
Yeah, exactly. I said, "There's this job called craft service." He goes, "Whoa, the Brooklyn accent, can you make money?" I said, "Yeah, you come out here and do." "What do they do?" I said, "Well, they clean the set. It's their service."
It was a
They
big
service the
evolution
crafts.
of craft service.
Well, that came.
Yeah,
But you know, when you ask people, you say, "Well, what is craft service?"
Right.
They do food. They have no clue
it's
how
evolved
started out.
into that.
Yeah.
Today.
And that what happened was Jamie was the first one to start the trucks.
So hold on one second, because that's interesting too. But let's just talk about that evolution. So in film history,
Right.
the craft service job was invented to service the craft. So each department is known in the film industry as a craft. So if you're
Right.
in the grip department, or
Right.
the lamp operator department, or the camera department, or the prop department,
Sound.
those are all sound department. Those are all considered the crafts.
Correct.
So craft service would be just to help each one of the crafts if they needed help. So
Yeah.
back in the old days, like if the sound department needed an extra boom person, you grab the
Or
craft
pulling
service-
cable.
Right, a pulling cable. You grab and with the camera as well, because we had a lot of cable wrangling in the old
Right,
days.
right.
Now everything's wireless.
Set dressing, if you need to meet new boxes or something. You know.
Now the crafts didn't always need help. So in between, that craft service person would bring out coolers with
Well-
refreshments and
Yeah, but that what happened was he would work with the prop master, and the
Uh-huh.
prop master would get
Right.
product placement.
Right.
And so the craft service guy decided, let's put it out for the crew because we have extra. Put
Right.
ice in there. Then the craft service guy ended up getting coffee. Now it started to evolve. Jamie worked with
So
Ian
today,
Bryce.
today it evolved into they don't service the crafts at all. Maybe every once in a while.
They do.
Well,
You call the
well,
union, you
yeah.
get somebody to come.
But now they just do the kind of the food service stuff.
Yeah.
But go ahead. And
Yeah.
Your brother Jamie made
Instrumental.
revolutionized the
Instrumental in changing everything. And I had to keep up with it. So I ended up, building a truck and getting it together because, my mother always said, if you're a window washer, you'd be the best window washer, So I said, I'm going to do what I can. And I landed a job on Last Action Hero, my first big
Well, before that though, when we met, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, it was a TV show, right?
Right. It was called The Scandal in a Small Town.
With Raquel Welch.
Raquel Welch.
Yeah.
Raquel Welch. It changed the name, I think. Lita Beth?
Lita Beth. I think it was Lita Beth, then Scandal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which I was a young PA, production assistant, and was so thrilled to work with Raquel Welch.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what I was doing there. And somehow I got hired. I don't even know how.
Right, right.
I couldn't even.
We were PAs
somebody
together.
asked me how to get on that show. I couldn't even tell them.
Right. I think it was with Alan Blomquist, who was our first AD or UPM.
I have
think.
no idea how I
Yeah.
got on the show. But we gravitated towards each other, two New Yorkers, and you were doing just that. You were working with the prop department doing craft service out of pretty much the jockey boxes of the prop truck.
Correct,
Where
yeah.
you had all your
Yeah.
kind of food and drinks, and every day we bring the food and drinks out of the prop truck.
Yeah.
What you're saying revolutionized when your brother started. He bought a truck, and he outfitted a truck like almost like a catering truck or a food truck.
Yeah.
And that's the norm today. That's what everyone has on every show. Is we all have a craft service truck these days. Nobody
Yeah.
works out of a jockey box anymore.
No.
And the Kehoe brothers pretty much.
Yeah, I want to give credit to my brother. I mean, I followed up because I wanted what I wanted to do is I wanted to write and direct, and I figured the best way is through the back door, getting to know everything about. I knew I started writing early on. In fact, what ended up happening was when I started working, I was writing on the craft service truck,
I remember
and
that.
I wrote this little short film, and I ended up. My aunt died and left me $7,000. This is when they were still shooting film.
Uh-huh.
And I was working on a movie called Cops and Robertsons, with Chevy Chase and Jack Palance.
Right. Jack
And I talked to Ron Schwarry, who was the producer, and I said, could I borrow the camera, you know? And he said, for what? And I said, I'm going to do this short film on the weekend. And I had the $7,000, you know, and I said, I'll pay. He said, no, don't worry. He says, take the camera, load it up. Anything happens, you call me, and then you get the camera over here, and I'll say, you know, whatever happened, you know.
Doing camera.
So, yeah. So I got that, and I went and I talked to everybody. This is before cell phones and all that.
So this was your first short?
This was the first short, yeah.
Mhm.
And I called all my friends and got everybody together. And I remember I was standing outside at 4:30, 4:45 in the morning, and I was the first one there. The generator was there the night before, and I saw all these cars, their lights on, lined up, and you know, with their flashes on to turn in, and I got choked up because all these people were coming
for your movie.
and I felt like I was lifted up from a small town and dropped into, you know, Hollywood, so to speak.
You were,
You know, pretty much.
From Ithaca, New York, or
Yeah.
Brooklyn originally, Ithaca, New York, and then dropped into Hollywood.
Into Hollywood. And then we
Working
shot.
as a bartender.
Working
and
as a
then,
bartender.
You know, send a couple movies, and then you're writing on the truck, and you're directing a short.
But I didn't know what was going to happen with it. And when I finished,
Which short was that?
it was called Second Dance.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then,
I went to a screening of that.
yeah,
Did
was
the
that-
Writers go?
no, it was at Sony at TriStar.
Oh yeah.
So, but what happened with it was once again, we didn't have cell phones and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Facebook or anything like that. And I said, I started putting the word out. I figured, you know, Alan Blomquist, who was, you know, the first AD that we knew, he said, look, Mike, you'll get 50 people in the theater. We're going to get a 99-seat theater.
Mhm.
50 people, don't worry about it. So I thought, okay. I just worked on Speed.
Yes,
Finished
which we
that.
worked on together.
Yeah, with Sandra Bullock and Keanu
Right.
Reeves.
That was a
Jan de Bont.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a movie we bonded on.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun on that.
And I went to the theater and went in, and there was a line outside, and 500 people showed up.
Yeah, so it was during Speed, that's right. So
Yeah.
that's why I was like in tune with what you were doing.
Right.
You know, I was there. I remember you had to do several screenings because there were so many people.
So many people.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, the projectionist, this woman said to me, did you submit this to Sundance? I said, yeah, but it was too late. They wouldn't accept it.
Right.
And she said, why don't you leave it here? Now we had cut this on a Moviola, you know, which
Right.
the screen is this big.
It's an old-fashioned editing.
Yeah, they went from
Now
Moviola
you do it on the
to
computer.
the flatbed to a D-Vision to,
Right.
you know, what you see now, to, what is it,
Final
Da Vinci.
Cut Pro.
in Final Cut Pro.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, and it was the can, and I left it there, and I thought, oh man, this is my only.
So the Moviola is just so you know, you shoot the film into the camera and you get it processed and developed, and you have the actual film there in the editing room.
Yeah, the work print.
Physically.
Yeah,
And you take the film and you run it through this machine.
with the sound.
With the sound.
It's like a sewing
And you
machine
have
with pedals.
You have pedals that you're pressing pedals to make it go through or go back, and then when you want to make a cut, you mark it with a grease pencil,
Correct.
and you'll mark it, and then you take the actual film away, and then you have a guillotine,
Right.
and you actually cut the
Cut the
piece
piece
out
out.
physically and hang it somewhere so you don't lose it, and then you just take
Splice
the
it.
two pieces together.
Yeah. And sometimes you see a little white circle at the top of the screen.
Right.
That was the cut.
Yeah.
You know. So
That's the
so I left
actual-
I left the can there, and I go home, and about maybe 4 days later, UPS comes or some delivery service and drops it off. I figured, okay, whatever, and then I get my mail like a week and a half later, and I had a golden retriever, and we're sitting on the front porch, and I get the letter, and it said Sundance, and I said, it's rejection. I know it's going to be rejection. I'm opening up all the other mail. And I just sat there for a little while, and then I opened it up, and it was a letter on behalf of Robert Redford. You're
Wow.
accepted to the Sundance
So
Film
your
Festival.
first short at Sundance.
And then we went, and then from there, I got a deal to do a feature, and then directed a little feature, which I think at the time was like $1.4 million.
We called Dominion.
Dominion,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember that. It's good.
In fact, we had Ernie Hudson originally to play the lead, but he ended up he called me up and said, Mike, I can't do it. He ended up doing Congo with Kathleen Kennedy
Wow.
and Frank Marshall, so he couldn't do that. And we got Brad Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
Tim Thomerson, Brian James.
Sort of a deliverance feel to it,
Correct,
right?
yeah.
It's a group of guys go camping in the woods
Right.
and run into a bunch of trouble.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
some weirdos stalking them.
One guy, yeah.
Yeah. Or one.
And it did well, you know. They done, and then ended up directing in something else, and then I ended up getting married and had kids.
And then life happened.
Yeah.
I've had
And,
that problem too.
You know, and then but working in the business there, then you had to make money to take care of the family.
Right.
And I did a movie called Jerry Maguire with Tom Cruise.
So then just getting, so now, not reversing gears, but parallel. So you're directing independent films and short films, but you're still, like you're saying, taking care of your family and working in craft service.
Yeah, I was like the plate spinner, you know, on Ed Sullivan. If the kids don't remember that, the guy's spinning all these plates to keep it going. You know?
And as you were saying, your brother and you took craft service up to another level, and then go ahead, you got onto Jerry Maguire and met Tom Cruise.
Met Tom Cruise, and we became friends. Or not really. I mean, at the time, it was just I had got an opportunity to work again with him, you know, and started traveling around the world on movies. I did. What did I do? I did Jerry Maguire, did Vanilla Sky, I did Mission Impossible 2 and 3 and 4. I did...
Wait, don't pass over that too quickly. Mission Impossible 1, 2, 3, and 4.
No, 2, 3, and 4.
2, 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I did The Last Samurai.
So basically, Tom was requesting you on...
I mean, I don't know if
they
he was
knew
that.
that he was
I mean,
comfortable
I heard stories from people saying, yeah, Kehoe's in Tom's contract.
Right.
Not true.
Okay.
There were
I'm
producers...
glad we could clarify that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've heard that.
Yeah, not true.
Okay.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean,
But it's the
he asked
fact
me.
that he's such a big star that anyone that he's comfortable with, as a producer, you're going to want to put
Well, I think the
people around
producers,
him
the producers say, "Hey, who took care of him on that show?"
Right.
It was Kehoe. Okay, let's get Kehoe to do that.
Right.
And then,
It's a smart move.
and then I started going. You know, I mean, we weren't traveling. We didn't take craft service guys out of the country.
No, I know. So yeah, we skimmed over that too. I mean, those Mission Impossible movies are shot all over the world, right? You're saying Last Samurai.
Last Samurai was in Japan and New Zealand.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Jerry
Mission
Maguire
Impossible. I was in China.
Mhm.
You know, Jerry
Yeah,
Maguire was
it's
here.
not a normal thing.
No.
Usually they'll take, the DP and the AD and...
No, I did Blade Runner in
Yes.
Hungary. I did Black Panther in South Korea.
Wow.
I was in Croatia and Greece on Jack Ryan.
So just your craft service career, and that's kind of what we're doing here on Hollywood Unreal, is talking to crew people.
Yeah.
We weren't so much interested, or we were interested, but it wasn't our goal or our mission to get directors and writing directors here to talk to. We wanted to get crew people, but you're you're both.
Yeah.
So that's great.
But I think I learned from all those people.
Right.
You know, I learned.
So you worked on these huge movies in craft service, and you took it to another level. Really, I don't think there's something just to it's very impressive what you did.
Well, I mean, what I
in
was.
the craft service world. And
Yeah, I just wanted to get to the next level.
To me, those are all filmmakers. When we mention the crafts, and
Right.
Every single person, on each of those departments, including your department, or the filmmakers.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin Costner worked as a grip.
When you say the word filmmaker, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about the people who are there on set every day making.
Those are
movies.
filmmakers.
Not someone sitting in an office
No.
saying, "Oh, maybe we'll do this movie, but we have to do it for a price,
Right.
or we're going to
No.
take it to Australia or Bulgaria." They think they're the filmmakers, but they're really not.
No.
Sorry, I'll probably never work again.
No, it's you're right. I mean, it's the wheels that turn the machine that gets everything done. And,
People there doing it with their own hands.
Yeah, but I learned so much
Right.
about the grips. Before I did my film Dominion, where we had to drop, I had a sequence where this guy comes to the edge of a cliff and has to jump down. It's 200 feet.
Where'd you shoot
through the
that?
trees. We shot it here in town, and Angeles Crest Forest.
Angela's class, because you look like you were in the middle. You were in the middle.
Right.
Of nowhere.
But this cliff was here, and then there was a road like that, and then there was a drop that was like probably 200 feet or more.
Mhm.
And I had told the actor, and this is what I talked to the grips first. I said, I need to get the POV of the actor to drop, and I want to drop the camera. How can I do that?
Mhm.
And they talked about how they would set up. So I learned everything from the grips on what we're going to do, so I could relay.
on a rope or
No,
something those days?
it was a rain tower that we stuck out
Ah.
and dropped an IMO all the way down.
Cool.
But
So Rain Tower, again, we're talking to people who might not know. Because usually the special effects department will have rain in the scene. They'll set up these towers all around.
Yeah.
And that's how, we'll
comes out.
connect it to a water truck.
Right.
And the rain will come through these towers and make it look like it's raining all around.
And shut it off and turn it on whenever you
We
want.
say action goes on and we say cut it goes off.
Right.
So use one of those.
We use one of those to hang. Yeah, but what we had to do first was, and I had to talk to the stunt guy, because I said, I need the actor to jump off here, to land on this road here, which when you stand up here, the road looks like this.
Right.
And you think you're gonna bounce off the boxes and bags and fall 200 feet. So I talked to Charlie Crowell, who was our stunt coordinator, who actually doubled Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future.
And Danny DeVito. Batman Returns.
Right.
The Penguin.
The Penguin, yeah. So Charlie said to me, what we'll do is we'll put boxes here and pads, and we'll get the actor to jump off, and he'll land, the air will go out, and he'll go in. I said, okay.
Charlie's legendary stunt man and coordinator.
Hundreds and hundreds of movies.
Amazing.
So I said to Brad Johnson at the time, I said, so what we're going to do is you're going to jump off and go into the box. He said, I'm not doing that. I said, what are you talking about? It's easy. He said, it's so easy, why don't you do it? So my DP was Mauro Fiore at the time, who was a gaffer before that, and ended up winning the Academy Award for Avatar.
Oh my God!
So
your DP?
Yeah, but this he was before. So I went up on the top and I said, Charlie,
go ahead.
I said, Charlie, am I going to bounce? He said, no. And I went to the edge, and my butt went like this, and I just said, okay, I got to do it. I said, what do I do? He said, you run out, you jump out like this, kick your feet up, and you're going to land on your butt.
What was Charlie's problem with it?
Charlie didn't have a problem with it. He just said the actor should do it. The stunt double was so skinny. Brad was built.
I see.
So it wasn't going to work. And as a filmmaker, I knew the shots that I want, because I had a camera down here looking up.
Right.
I had a camera here looking out.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I gotta have his face in the shot. And Charlie said, well, the only way he's going to do it is if you do it. And then
I see.
I
So
did it
first, and then the actor was comfortable.
Well, yeah, he ended up doing it 5 times after that, and
Awesome.
and then we dropped it. So
And then you drop the IMO. The IMO is a film camera we used to use.
a crash case.
It's a small camera, and we used it a lot on Speed actually.
Yeah.
Where you put it in this sort of armor case,
Right.
and it's pretty much you can do anything to it.
Yeah, it was like
You
using.
can't break the camera.
No. It's like using a
Speed,
GoPro.
we would run it. We would attach it to the side of the bus. We would run it over. We would do
Yeah.
everything.
I
I think we actually broke.
You can blow things up with it right there. Yeah.
I think on Speed we actually destroyed
Several
of them.
I mean, it's like a GoPro.
Yeah.
In that sense.
These
what they
days,
use
yes.
now.
But it had this special armor case.
Yeah.
That went in that you could,
The black box.
Yeah. But that's great. That's super interesting. So that movie was good. You should look it up.
Yeah.
And check it out. But for us, we're touching on Speed, which was a lot of fun.
That was great fun.
We were working with Sandra Bullock when she was very young. Nobody knew who she was.
Yeah.
I
got along
we were
great
both
with
pretty
her.
good friends with her.
Yeah.
Sandy.
Sandy, yeah.
She went by Sandy in those
Yeah.
days. And Keanu was a big star, but
Keanu showed up to the screening for the short film. Yeah.
But yeah, very nice guy, kind of reserved, the way you would think, kind of like a little quirky,
Yeah.
not very talkative.
No. But sincere,
And we shot it on the
105
the 105 freeway
before it opened up.
When they were building it before it opened, so we had a stretch of the 105 that we were allowed to use,
Right.
and we used all that for the bus chasing up and down the 105.
Yeah.
My job was I had to clear the route, so I was they rented me a car. This stretch of the 105 that we had was maybe
Huge.
5 miles, I think.
Yeah.
And this bus is doing all kinds of crazy things. And if you know anything about Jan de Bont, he's a DP who did a lot of second unit work on James Bond.
Well, he was the DP on Die Hard.
And the DP on Die Hard. And Speed was his big chance to direct the movie. And he's kind of this crazy German guy who likes to yell at people.
Yeah.
And everybody was afraid of him. So he's like a madman trying to make this movie.
Yeah.
And screaming and yelling at people. And this bus is doing all kinds of crazy stunts. So my my job was to clear the route. So we had PAs all along the route at every exit, probably like 40 PAs that I would drive in my rental car and check in with each one, make sure they were awake, because most of the time they were sleeping. And I would get to the end, and the first AD, David Sardi,
right?
would check with me. Okay, Risoli, is the route clear? And I'd hear Yancy in the background saying, "What is he doing? What is he doing? Why is it taking so long?" I'm like, I'm almost there, David. Why is it taking so long? And I'd get to the end, I was like, okay, it's all clear. Because we had construction people there. That was our biggest thing.
Right.
We're trying to keep them safe. Because they used to work in there for years on their own.
The precision drivers were going,
and we had 200 precision drivers.
Right. And precision drivers are, when you see a movie with cars, you think, oh, they just shot that and their people are going around it, but they're all hired to be in positions,
So when we're creating traffic on a freeway,
well, you control those.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's 2 layers to it. So you have this bus is being driven by stunt people mostly.
Right.
We had we had 6 or 7 different buses on speed.
Yeah.
Some buses stunt people would drive.
If
we wanted it to look like Sandy
cages,
was driving, the stuntman would drive from the top of the bus. So we call that a pod bus. And then if we were in a shot where we were seeing the top of the bus and we couldn't have them up there, we had another bus where the stuntman was driving from the back of the bus, looking at a little monitor.
Right.
It was crazy.
Right.
I forget the stuntman's name. He was really great at. I don't recall it. I should be giving him credit. But, so I would get to the end of the route, say it's all clear, and then they would take off. And the way we're layering it is, so you'd have the stuntman driving or whoever driving the bus, usually a stuntman, and then we'd have stunt drivers. So there'd probably be a layer of like 20 stunt drivers and
at least,
50 cars. Yeah. And then behind the stunt drivers, you would have the precision drivers.
Yeah. And what I did was, I had that Chevy Blazer, and I would drive to drop water off to all those cars.
Right. We had them on a radio station.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
We set up an AM radio station because we had to talk to all the,
how did you do it? The coordination was incredible.
It was like 250, 300 people we needed to talk to all at the same time to say, okay, get ready, and we're rolling. You tell them what speed to go, and action, and slow down, speed up. So we had them on a radio station. We had a person on a microphone like this, and with an AD, assistant director, standing next to them, telling them what to do.
Right.
Pretty amazing.
Well, one of the things that I learned is, as a crew member, you could go up and talk to an actor. If once you get to know them. Mm-hmm. As a filmmaker, you have to go through the agent or the manager or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, when I did a movie later on, I had gone up to Hawthorne James, who was the bus driver.
Yeah, I remember him.
And I asked him, and he ended up being in the film that I directed.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Did he pass away?
No, he's still alive. Yeah, in fact, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago. But that's the thing, when they see that you're actually interested in doing that and they take you serious.
Right. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. It's like, the craft service guy wants to make a movie with me. Yeah. He's a filmmaker.
Right.
Well, it's not shocking to me, but I can see how.
Right. My brother, I told this story 100 times. My brother was on a movie with Diane Keaton, and they were sitting at lunch, and Diane Keaton said, "Can I sit here?" And Jamie said, "Yeah." She says, "I'm Diane." He says, "I'm Jamie." He says, "What do you do?" She says, "I'm an actress." "Oh yeah? What were you in?" She says, "The Godfather." He said, "Never saw it." But that's the way he is.
Yeah.
And they love him.
Everybody loved Jamie.
But I think that's what's important too. To be, you're that way. All the actors, all the crew members like you, and I know you get frustrated with crew members.
We've talked about that before, and even here, what I do. I'm the first AD, so I sort of run everything, and I have to talk to everybody. I have to deal with the craft service. I have to deal with every department, all the crafts that
people don't realize.
I have to deal with the actors all at the same time, all the background people, all at the same time.
Yeah.
So there are moments of losing patience, but and I explained that last time. Over the years, you learn how to sort of handle that.
Yeah, I mean, I was a first AD on a very small independent movie, and it was a job that was a thankless job.
It's the complaint department. Also.
Yeah, I couldn't deal with it because, like you said, you've got to work with the actors. The producers. You're the producer's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got to work with the crew, telling people someone's going to complain about something. The DP doesn't like the sound guy because the boom is in all the time. And you have to be a parent.
Yeah, you have to be a psychiatrist, a parent, a cat wrangler. And back in the old days, you know, I said this here last time, it was, you know, the AD concept of the first AD was like this monster who was yelling at people to be quiet all day long.
Right.
And I remember sitting on the set thinking, I don't want to do that. But Sardi was a good example of not being that.
Yeah.
And he's sort of, you know, someone before me, and he's still around actually.
Yeah, I love him. Yeah.
A-list first AD.
Yeah. Him and Richard Oswald, who's a career
partners,
second.
Yeah, partners. Yeah. I should get those guys in here.
Yeah.
Sardi was one of the first that I saw that was like, that's the way I want to do it.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that guy.
Yeah.
He's the nicest guy in the world. He's funny. He's sweet. He's everything. He's a leader. He's tough when he needs to be. He's a prototype, and I tried to model myself after people like that, which is not easy. It takes years of evolution.
Well, I think
to get there.
Yeah, I think what's important too is about your job, you know, with the crew. You get a lot of these new filmmakers that come in that they've maybe been an assistant to a producer or is working in the studio, and now they come actually on set. And they say things like, okay, we're going to go down on Pacific Coast Highway. We're just going to shut it down. We're going to park the trucks here. We're going to do this. And you've got to say, wait a second.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's hold on.
Right. If you've worked on a movie
shut down,
and you know, those things.
Which we could do, and we have done. But
Right.
it's not.
Right.
We don't just glance over something like that.
No, I mean, I remember I was shooting in Burbank, and there was a row of houses, and this woman kept turning on her sprinklers. And it was a small movie. And the location guy said, I'm just going to go down and give her $500. I said, no, don't do that. She said, and all the crew people looking at me like, wow, you think I'm going to go down and yell at her? I said, no, go tell her to keep it on because it's working for the shot. And he went down there and told her that, and as soon as he came back, it went off and did the shot.
She wanted the money.
So I think, you know, it's a lot of psychology, which, you know, ADs
And we talked about it too. And part of the losing patience is, and I think part of the problem, the Unreel that we talk about and what's going on with Hollywood today is, in a way, we priced ourselves out, and that's why, you know, TV and movies have run away to other cities and countries. And I don't want to put it on the crew people, but when I do get frustrated is when I feel like they don't care.
Right.
And they just shut
Absolutely.
up.
Yeah.
And they're just like, you know, I'm like, oh, we got 12 minutes to get the shot. And they're like, you know, that's your problem. It's
Right.
like, no, that's our problem. We need to get the shot. We're not coming back to the setup again. We're not coming back to here after lunch. I have 12 minutes to lunch. Let's get a move on. And, you know, God forbid I tell somebody to get a move on.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I spit in their face.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, let's pick up the pace. We got 12 minutes. And I got to a point in my career where I could say that in a nice way. First, you have to earn the respect. So along the way, you're not doing that frivolously. You're not saying, okay, let's go, we gotta pick it up, you don't do it frivolously. You save that card for when you really need it.
Right.
And then when the crew gets to know you, then you play that card, you're like, oh, we must really need to do this. But there's probably 25 to 30% of the crew who still don't care.
They don't care. Yeah.
But I think that's a little bit of the problem of
Yeah.
the Unreel problem as well. It's like, you know what, now you're crying about not working. You know what, maybe if you cared a little bit more, things would be a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, and if the problem got solved tomorrow, you'd come back and you still wouldn't care.
Right.
Right? I mean, hey, I'm not putting down the filmmakers, but, you know, every group, large group, and we usually work with 100 so people
Or more.
at a time. So
But
there's
I
going to be
think
that, you know, portion.
that
that's
dynamic.
not gonna
I think what's
be on
happening
board.
now is that I'm learning because we're getting ready
Tell
to
me,
do
please,
a
let's hear some
little
of it.
independent movie. Is in the studio system, the departments wouldn't be talking to each other
Right.
until they're on set, and then it's chaos. What I'm doing now is
And it's my job to kind of smooth that over
Right.
in a way that everybody read the signs. This is what the scene's about. This is the shot we're going to do.
Right.
Where they should know some of that.
well, now that they're not working, what I've done is I've taken meetings now with prop people, the AD, you know, not the ADs, but because we haven't got that yet, but prop, set dressing, camera, and I say, I want us to be a family. I need to get from this point to this point, and I can only do it with you. And I don't want to alienate anybody because, there's also that thing of if you're doing it independent and you want to do it in town, the cost of doing it in town because of permits and all these things brings your budget down. Now in California, there's no above the line tax incentive. So in order to do that,
and we're working on that.
Yeah.
We talked about that in our last podcast.
But if you do a horror movie where your above the line is not that much, you can put the money down below. Mm-hmm. But you really have to, where am I going to put the money? Am I putting it into film permits and locations and all these things? And I have no money, I'm not taking it out of the Grips pocket, not purposely. I have to pay, these guys and do this. So you're trying to juggle whatever it is.
And what we talked about last time is a potential federal tax,
yeah,
and stackable with a state,
right,
California,
yeah, if they do it. But also the businesses, because when you shoot, you have to pay for a permit to be on the street, then you got to pay for cops and a fireman, and so now you've got the permission to shoot there, but then the businesses come out and say, give me,
and it's not just the businesses. And you're glad though, the way our industry evolved is everybody got their hands out. Oh, you work for Fox? Okay, they must have a lot of money. Have my hand out.
Right.
I'm the permit office, Film LA, who makes it as hard as humanly possible to shoot in LA. They're in charge of the locations. They tell me as a first AD, I have 5 days to prep an episode. Usually, when we do alternating half-hour comedy, we'll have 5 days to prep and 5 days to shoot. And we can alternate back and forth for each episode.
Right.
So on my first day of prep, I'll be asked by the location manager, what's your locations? We need to know your locations. It's the first day of prep. I don't barely even have a script because a lot of times these scripts get rewritten during the week. Mm-hmm. And like, well, I got to get the permits in with Film LA. It takes 5 days. And it's like, well, it doesn't work.
Right.
They've got to give us a break. And how many times I have to go to the producer? The producer has to call the head of Film LA, and they're like, "We're going to do us a big favor. Say, okay, if you get it in by Wednesday, well, maybe we can make it happen." It's like, why? Why is it so hard? So that starts there, and then part of these permits. This is a little bit of a rant, Robbie. Is part of these permits is everybody got their hands out.
Right.
The police, the firemen. Whatever the location, you have to have a site rep. You have to have, sometimes you have to have someone working the power in the building, depending on where you're shooting. And everybody's getting paid like $1,000 a day. And your permit says, oh, you need 4 police officers. What are those 4 police officers? Now, I love LAPD, and I love the retired cops who do this. Sometimes I need them. Our lives depend on them. When we're not shooting on the road, and we're shooting shows like Speed, we need them. They're
absolutely. And they do
their
job.
Part of it, and they know how to do the job really well. But when I'm shooting in a building and I got 4 cops sitting in a parking lot doing nothing with their motorcycles on rental as well, and I'm paying them $1,000 a day, it just shouldn't be. And the same thing with the firemen, where it could be easily done with a spot check.
Right. That's the way they do it in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I just did a picture not too long ago in Kentucky, and we were shooting on the street, and we wanted the businesses. There were 2 businesses that were open, but the one in between was not open. And you know what the owner said? Well, I have a guy that's in there that's just cleaning up. I'll put, we'll put our stuff outside and make it look like it's open for you. And we wanted to pay him and said, don't worry, just feed my guy.
And you wish everybody was like that. But hey, everybody's out for themselves. Okay, I understand that. And everybody's trying to make money. So I mentioned all those cops and the firemen. They have families that are trying to make money, so they're doing.
Plus the cost of living here is so
right. It's on the permits. So that's part of it, though. There's so many little pieces of Unreel that is the reason we got to where we are right now, which is sort of the industry kind of imploding. And we priced ourselves out in a way with our union rates, and then on the other end of it, everybody has their hand out and wants to get paid.
Yeah.
We all want to get paid. I mean, that's not.
You just want.
We also want work.
Right. And I'd love to shoot here because I could be home. I could wake up in my bed. I can go to bed. I don't have to be away. But if it takes going to another state where you're going to get 35 to 40% above and below the line, and
so
then
you're
going to pay all these things.
$50 million, and they're going to hand you back 5.
Right. Well, a lot of people don't realize that when in a small area, or small town, if you're shooting a $50 million film and you're in there the whole time, 20 million is going into the economy there.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And that's why they're trying to get you there, of course.
Right.
They're
But people
spending money.
complain, oh, they blocked off my street. I got to go around the
Right,
block, you
right.
know.
And that's a problem for the economy of Los Angeles. It's not just the film business.
Yeah.
The economy in general of Los Angeles
Right.
is having this problem too. Like all the dry cleaners and the people, the food people that you get your food from, and, you know, all the people that service
Right.
the film industry.
It's spiderwebs out to everyone.
Yes. With that, Karen Bass, our mayor, did put out a directive yesterday, as a matter of fact, saying that she's intending to make it easier to shoot in Los Angeles. And some of the things that we were talking about just now, trying to make it easier. Like one thing she lists, this is her directive number 11, she's calling it, is on-site monitors and staff. All departments shall review current procedures and assign on-site monitors and staff. So what she's saying is try to have less people if you could. You know, case by case. If you need 4 cops, you should have them. But if you don't, and one could do the job,
Right.
then do that. So she has a whole list of things, and you know, obviously somebody has worked with her on this to try to cut out some of that cost, which will help. And then, you know, and she also lists some Los Angeles owned properties that I think the idea is that there'll be the rates to shoot there will be very reduced, almost down to nothing, which include Griffith Observatory, Central Public Library, Public Water and Power, the Port of Los Angeles, which is a big one. We like to shoot down there, sort of in Long Beach.
But let me ask you something. Why is it Beverly Hills or is it Santa Monica? But excuse me, if you're shooting in a in a residence and you're inside there, they're not going to charge you for a whole permit of that. It's like you don't have to pay what you pay.
I think that's Santa Monica.
Is it Santa Monica?
Yeah, it's not. Very
So why is that? Why does it have to change? I mean,
Well-
why can't it be the same way?
It should be the same for everyone, and so it should be uniform that way with everyone,
Right.
all throughout Los Angeles. And I think that's maybe what she's trying to get to.
Right.
I don't know that this completely solves Executive Directive number 11 by Karen Bass, was issued on May 20th, 2025. But this is a conversation opener.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. I do believe that a lot of things are going to change because of the independence, and you're going to get all these crew members that are going to get together and say, I just need
You just want to work.
to pay my bills and do what you can. And if I was making a movie that I couldn't afford to do it union, but I could afford to give that person a little extra money, and I had to do it that way because we'd never get the movie off the ground, you might have to go that route.
That movie was called Nora, won the Best Picture Academy Award.
Well, they did it non-union?
Yeah. Well, they did it low budget agreements and non-union. I think originally it started
Tier
non-union.
1A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Well, that's what
if
we're
you
doing.
look it up, Nora had a budget of like $5 million to
Yeah,
start.
I think if you're under 6, you're Tier
Yeah,
1A.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing on a $2.5 million movie, is to do it Tier 1A. I want to do it to keep it there, because my DP, that I've used, all these guys are union guys. Most of the guys that I had worked on Tony Scott
And I'd love
movies.
to work with you.
Yeah, and I want to have all my
I'm
friends.
a union guy.
If I have my friends that are around me, and what I always say is surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. I couldn't do what you do,
Right. We all have our specialties.
Right.
Specialties. That's why we're the professionals in the business for so long.
Yeah.
Talk about 30 years.
Yeah, it's taught us a lot, and I think it's
So what you're talking about is putting together the right team.
right.
And I agree. Independent film is going to be more in vogue, and not just because of Nora. It's because of what's going on in the industry, and sort of that level or even higher, the 10 to $30 million movie doesn't exist.
Right.
It's either a very low budget or it's a blockbuster.
But look at all the Academy Award nominees. They were all non-union, not non-union. They were all non-studio films, independent films.
Mhm.
So there might be this new, movement of these independent films to really.
I think that will help save the industry somewhat, and when I'm saying that, save the industry in the United States and in Los Angeles particularly, because it'll put people back to work.
Yeah, but I don't think tentpole
There's
movies.
so many people
Yeah.
not working,
I don't think tentpole movies are going to make it here.
Well, that's the thing that a couple of weeks ago that Donald Trump was talking about, and he's a polarizing person who probably didn't state it correctly. That if you make a movie out of the country, I'm going to give you a terrorist to show it back here, and it's true. A lot of Marvel movies have run away.
Mel Gibson's last 4 movies ago.
Mhm.
John Voight's last 10 movies were all out of the country.
And Star Wars movies have moved to England, and their TV arm also to England. So in that sense, you have to know the business to know what he's talking about.
Right.
Those are American sort of products that are being made overseas and being sold here. So in his mind, it's like they should be terror. That will never work. So John Voight put a group together. He's like bringing him up, and Newsom jumped on that too. It's like, no, that's not quite what we need. We need this federal tax incentive, and that's what they have. They're going over to these other countries because the governments are giving them money to come there.
Right.
And that's what we need to do. Now, the labor over there is cheaper because their unions get paid less. But if you can balance it out, like I said, the stackable tax incentive at state and federal could help balance out the labor cost a little bit. And again, it's never going to really solve it completely. There are always going to be, like you said, the tentpole movies that, like a movie like Mission Impossible 5 that's coming out.
8.
8. Wow, they did 8 of those. That needs to take place all over the world.
James Bond,
Exactly.
all over the world. But why would you want to deny?
But it really is an American product. But you have to because you need those locations.
Yeah.
So it's a slippery slope, really. I have hope. Like I said, like we say in the opening, we're hopeful,
Yeah.
but maybe foolish to think that this is gonna all change. But hopefully it will. I mean, you think that there's enough people with the love of the arts and the film that want to make movies here, and people like you who and say, okay, let's have the wherewithal to write something and get it done. How many
Right.
people talk about making a movie and it never gets done, or talk about writing a script and it never gets done?
Yeah.
This is the person who actually does it. And like you said,
Thank
working on a script on a craft service truck on a gigantic movie and writing a short that goes to Sundance.
Yeah.
And then go ahead. Mike.
Well, I mean, one of the things I think that's really important is somebody gave me an opportunity, and I want to pay it forward, and do it. And I'm helping, trying to instruct or give a little bit of that back. There's a young kid that is working with me, Spencer, and I want to, have him in a department that can do that. And I speak once in a while at Ithaca College to tell the
cool.
people that. But I want them to learn firsthand on what it's like on all those different departments. Learn a little bit about each. Really know what you want to do,
Right.
because you can always ask questions. It's always good to ask advice than it is for a favor.
I was talking to Romeo about that a little bit
Yeah.
because we're sitting here in Beverly Hills High, and he runs the film and broadcast school here, which my son is part of. Michael Risoli, who's in the booth there,
Yeah.
directing this. That's what film schools don't teach, is the
Right.
practical. Okay, we're on the set. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You got to get your breakfast burrito, get the cater,
Right.
and then the logistics of everything, and how it really works.
Right.
And everybody goes to film school and they want to be a director, and they think they're going to be a director. Fine, I want you to be a director, but you may end up being a sound guy.
Right.
Or you might be a special effects person.
Go on the set and find out.
Yeah.
It's the same with actors. With actors, I always say,
sound person.
with actors, I always say the first person that you need to make your friend is the focus puller,
Mm-hmm.
because he's going to keep you in focus. He or she's going to keep you in focus.
And for me, it's important as
Yeah.
well. It's gonna
And
keep
and
the-
you
gonna keep
know
the train
your
moving.
know your frame. Know where you're at. So you're not doing this in the scene and they say cut. He was out. Thank God that we can now shoot digitally,
Right.
so you can do it over and over again.
Yeah.
But like we said, it's all those. It's the sound guy. It's the focus puller. It's the cameraman. All these crew members that are all involved in that.
Right.
And some don't really care, and some care so much.
And I think, starting with the pandemic and coming through the strikes, and now Hollywood retraction, and what we've all been through,
Right.
I think people are going to come back and care.
Well, I got a taste of that because during the pandemic, I shot a little proof of concept, the 99 Problems.
Right. So that was your last short that you did, and then you're
Yeah.
saying that I thought it was a short. So that's actually a proof
Of concept. Well, I did a proof of concept
for a movie or for a TV show.
for a series,
Uh-huh.
but I did a proof of concept before that, which was a horror proof of concept, and I ended up getting a deal with Lionsgate and did the feature.
So proof of concept is. I was going to ask you about that a little bit,
Yeah.
but you put together your own production as an independent filmmaker,
Right.
and you present that to a studio and say, "This is what
This is
it
an
look
idea.
like. This
Yeah.
is my idea. This is what it look like. This is how the tone of it." And
Right, it's like a pitch,
Right. Instead of just saying it, you have
Right,
something to
you
show.
have something to show. So
When Michael's last one was called 99 Problems.
99 Problems, and we shot out in Lancaster, I think.
Is that I've seen it? Is that diner? Is that a film set?
Yeah.
Yes, I know
Yeah,
that
it's
diner.
been used so many times.
Yeah, it's not an actual diner, but it looks
no.
like.
And there's like a hotel there.
It's fully outfitted as a diner. They even
Yeah.
have pots and pans and dishes, but you have to bring in your food. Like it's not a real diner.
No, we had I think we had
looks
65
great.
or 70 crew members.
Wow.
And it was all, I had everybody pull in, get checked,
Oh,
COVID,
so you're saying you did this during the pandemic,
right in the middle of it.
which is crazy. I mean, to do an independent short or proof of concept during the pandemic, I couldn't even imagine that. Did you have to get involved with sort of a medical or health company or?
Well, when I was on another show, I knew that I wanted to do this.
Uh-huh.
And I told the medic, who's a great guy, his name is Greg Levine, I said, I need to have you there because you're so good with
Do
everything.
it, yeah.
I want you to control the set for this.
Mhm.
He said, I'll be there. He brought out this big Jeep. He had it looked like a mash
There's
unit,
so many
you know.
protocols that we were required to follow.
But we were doing this under the radar. But I had everybody that I knew, and like I said, you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. The medic was remarkable. I had this guy Rob Harper, who was who ran the set,
Mhm.
did an incredible job. I had
He was a producer.
Yeah, he's a teamster, but he wanted to be
I
a
know
producer.
Rob.
Yeah, and then we shot in there. One of the things that I remember, John Connor, who's my DP, I said, I want to talk to the grips and I want to talk to your crane guy. He said, why? I said, because I want to keep the camera on the crane the entire time.
I was going to ask you about that because it's two really nice screen shots. So
It was on the entire
what was
time.
that, techno? Or?
Yeah, it was a 15-foot techno. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't really see that on a proof of concept. That's you calling in some
No.
favors.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, everybody threw. Well, these guys wanted to do it because they wanted to show what
Right.
they could do.
And then on the other side of doing you a favor, they're having something for their reel that they
Yeah.
could say, okay, we could do this cool crane shot that starts on the sign of the diner and
Right.
it booms down and follows the actor into the through the door.
Yeah. I mean, it was
Super cool shot.
we had everything storyboarded. I worked with everybody. I worked with the prop people. I didn't want anybody to feel like they weren't part of the family.
And what was the budget on that? You had some sort of a budget?
It was like 30,000.
Oh, wow. So you actually raised some money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it wasn't.
It looks it. I
it
mean,
went like
it really
that.
looks.
I mean, we tried to make it look.
Cinematically,
Yeah.
looks-
Yeah.
It looks really great.
It won 120 awards.
Oh, wow.
I
didn't realize that.
Yeah. So we
Actors are really good.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
well
it's in fact one of the actors, Sala, who was the chef. Remember that guy?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So when
Is
I
he
was,
Australian?
he's a Kiwi.
Like, that's
He's
the
a Kiwi,
accent.
yeah.
Okay.
So when I was on Last Samurai, he was working as a location guy,
Oh.
and he said to me, "Mike, I want to be I want to go out and be an actor and stuntman."
Uh-huh.
I said, "Well, come out and stay with me, or come out and
Yeah,
visit."
he did
me."
great.
He ended up being in Lord of the Rings. He played
Oh,
huge
really?
roles in that.
So he actually did become an actor.
Yeah, he was in the Killer with Michael Fassbender, the picture where he had I guess it was David Fincher,
Uh-huh.
and he played. It was like the most incredible fight sequence with Michael Fassbender. He was in that, where he was like one of the bad guys in there.
Uh-huh.
But And this is what I mean about when you find somebody that has a dream of doing something. You could have a dream being a grip, being an electrician, a sound man, whatever, hair and makeup. I mean, just do it. In fact, when I was on Last Samurai, the transportation captain said, take my daughter out, she's 11 years old, and take her out when you're going out to do the look for the scout when we're looking at everything. We're driving a quad, and I said, what do you want to do?
Location scouting.
Yeah. She said, I want to be a special effects makeup artist. I said, and she's 11. I said, you know what? When you do it, I want to use you on something. I'll call you when I'm going to do it. When she became 21, she was on my picture that ended up Lionsgate ended up picking up. She won the award for the makeup, and she created blood rugs. You know what blood rugs is?
Yeah.
You have an actor laying here. There's blood all over the floor, and you can't really stain the floor.
Yep.
You peel it off. You lay it down.
Yep.
This is the ingenuity that a lot of these people don't realize. The technicians that they come up with, the crew.
It's like rubber, really.
It's a rubber rug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks real.
So you got to give. That's why I sit and watch the credits for all the people that are a part of it. And give back to them too.
I hear you. And you were saying you're hoping to get something off the ground soon.
I'm actually working with Jason Gedrick, who was the lead in Iron Eagle, and we've been friends for a long time.
Right.
And he wrote his
He was the kid.
He was the kid, yeah, with Lou Gossett. And
Lou Gossett's such a great actor.
He was, yeah.
And he was a nice guy, huh?
Yeah, he was a great guy. I had a great time with him.
I know Art Schaefer. He was a producer.
He was a producer.
Good
Yeah,
guy.
Sidney Furie was on it. Ron Samuels was a producer as well.
But the kid is now.
He's been acting for a long time. Yeah, he was in the series Luck, the Michael Mann.
Oh, with the
series.
horse racing.
Yeah, he was in a bunch of stuff, and he called me
Almost
up.
worked on that.
Did you?
Almost. I went for the interview.
Jamie was on that.
Yeah, I knew that.
But Jason called me up and said, "Listen, I wrote a script and I've never directed. Would you want to direct it?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, why don't you? Do you
Cool.
want to direct it?" I said, "Why don't we co-direct it?" So now we're doing that. He's learning so much about putting the wheels together for it. So
And again, indie style. You're not affiliated with any studio. You're raising the money, getting investors.
yeah,
And
I mean, I'm learning a lot about it because I don't know enough about that world. But I brought this guy Matt Smith.
what I do know about you, you have the wherewithal to get this all done.
Yeah.
And you have everybody's your friend who wants to work with you and will go the extra mile for you.
I hope so. I mean, I don't take it for granted. I just
You call in the favors on something like this.
yeah, but I got to pay him.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm getting texts every day. Kehoe, when you do your next one, I want to be on it. Which is great. Makes me
Especially
feel
since
good.
none of us are working. So,
Right, yeah.
We're available.
Yeah.
I'm there. Call me.
Yeah, it's and there's a number of other things that that are starting to come up that I would like to do on a higher level with all the friends that I knew, people who were someone's assistant who now are running a studio.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Harper,
Tommy Harper was my PA on a Gary Marshall movie called Dear God.
Dear God, yeah,
with Craig Kinnear.
yeah.
Fun movie.
Yeah.
Funny movie. Working with Gary was I could do a whole podcast on that. Dave Angus was the second
Angus,
AD,
yeah.
and Ellen Schwartz was the first.
Yeah,
Yellen Ellen,
yeah,
who I love.
yeah.
And Dave is a friend, and Tommy was our PA. I was the second AD.
And then Tommy.
So it was me. It was Ellen, Dave, me, which is like an all-star team. I'm not putting myself as
No, but
but
it's
those
true.
two are above and beyond Ellen and Dave. And then Tommy Harper was our PA,
Right.
who ran. Went on after he worked with us to run Bad Robots with J.J. Abrams, and he just produced Beetlejuice.
Well, before that, he did.
Tim Burton.
He was
and,
co-producer
Top
on the Mission Impossibles. Then he was the producer on Top Gun, and he did Wednesday.
It's amazing.
He's
Tommy
about-
Harper is the mega producer right now.
But Tommy said something to me too. He said, I come
He's a
from.
young surfer dude,
Yeah.
kid.
He said, I come from.
He's someone you would never expect. I'm sorry.
No, it's true. It's
sorry,
true.
Mike.
But he says, I come from
Go
the
ahead.
world of knowing what everybody's department does, and then I'm able to go out and do that. And we went with Tom Cruise to go help Tom get a movie made.
It just makes me think, like Tommy Harper was in charge of the background, he worked for me, basically direct. I was his direct boss.
Yeah.
And it just tells me like he was watching. He was watching me, he was watching Dave, he was watching Alan, he was watching Gary Marshall, he was watching the producers of that movie, and every other thing that he was on.
Yeah.
And it paid off
greatly.
1,000,000 times over.
Yeah. And
Still paying off.
The great thing about him is he's always willing to help someone or
Such a great story.
Yeah.
Really. It's probably kind of what we're about, which makes it a double edge because you say you want to do all these independent projects and indie film is going to save us and it's going to bring the industry back. We have to jumpstart it. And indie film will be a big part of that. But one thing about indie film is that at some point you want to keep doing it. You want to get that studio deal. You want to get
absolutely.
You want to work your way up to the dark side.
But even when you get there,
and you want to jump into the dark side. But hopefully, when you get to the dark side, which is the major studios, then your approach is different.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you read the article about John Wick, the studio. Did you see the John Wick? You have the first one. You ever see
the original movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So John Wick.
They kill his dog.
Yeah, they kill his dog, and his wife died of cancer. Correct?
Yeah.
Well, what the studio wanted was
the studio about the dog.
But the studio wanted the Russians, the story to have the Russians kill the wife, which would have changed everything. Right. So it worked better that
they're not the filmmakers.
Well, yeah, but sometimes the studio comes in and says, "Go do this or do that."
Right. Well, that's my point. It's like it's a double edge. But so when you get to being that,
you still want to have
Harper,
creative control.
Who's now gone to the studio side. Okay. You want to make sure that you're not forgetting where you came from
and keep the integrity of what you've worked on.
Right. Well, it's been great, Mike. It's such I could talk to you forever. Rocco,
I got a question.
Yes, Robbie Curtis, please.
Did you make back the $7,000 from your first short?
I got the deal to do the feature, and I think they paid me. I think because I wasn't in the DGA. I think I got paid like $30,000. So to direct it, and I think I got another $10,000 to write it. So yeah, I think I made it.
So not directly, like you didn't get paid for the short. It was something that showcased your work.
Yeah, while I was at Sundance, the deal went through for me for the feature.
Right.
Yeah.
Through the showcase, you got paid.
I wasn't thinking at the time making the short film. I wasn't thinking that I've got to make this money back. I was thinking I got to get a career. That was
right.
my.
Do you think that's the attitude of most short filmmakers? The calling card?
Which is a good question because hopefully we are going out to a lot of students here too. Yeah. And we're in a school. So yeah.
I think if students are going to go out to make a short film, you got to make it with passion. You got to make it, with all of your heart and tell the story and don't think about being a star or being, all those things. I think you've got to put your heart and soul into it and tell a story. It's like telling a story to a child before the child goes to bed. Make them see everything that you're talking about, and be very visual, and also communicate with the crew. Some people just come in and say, "This is what I want." Know about what lens you want. Know about everybody's job. But I think if a student today wants to make a short film, it's got to be story.
And having a passion for it too. Don't look at it as like, oh, this is just a class and I want to get an A.
Right.
No.
Oh,
and I have to make this project and I got to go through this whole process to get a grade. No, it's filmmaking. It's an art. It's like any of the arts. You need to have a passion.
You need to have a passion.
Like being a painter.
Yeah.
And following it all the way through. And one thing that Romeo and I talked about last time was wherewithal, and I think you have that quality, is seeing things through. And in film school, you do see things through because of the grading part, because you do have to get to that grade. But
one thing I will say that it doesn't matter if a student has an idea for a story and their heart is there. Doesn't matter about the camera and the technical side. If someone sees the story and says, "There's a filmmaker in there,"
right?
I think that's what's important.
And then and we talked about it, and Romeo and I have talked about it. Is the nuts and bolts that I feel like art is a little missing in film schools, and that's why we keep bringing it up. Is the logistics of it all, and
Right.
the boots on the ground aspect of it's not. You're not getting picked up. In Hollywood, we don't get picked up by limousines and taken to work every day. That's not the way it works.
No, but if
the
you-
actors do.
If you're a student and you can,
They
you
don't.
have an idea.
Even they don't actually.
But if you're a student and you have an idea and you want to do something, and someone else is doing something, get on that and be a grip.
Mhm.
Get on that.
Right,
be
and
something else
everything's
to
a
learn.
learning process.
Yeah.
What do you think, Robbie? All good?
It was a great episode.
Thank you. And then Rocco Risoli, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rocco.
For, directing and producing. Thank you, Robbie Curtis, for producing and contributing endlessly to this. And Romeo couldn't be here today, but thank him for everything he does. And also Zach Hassan, who has been helping us edit a little bit. I want to give a shout out to him.
Yeah.
And, thank you very much. This was Hollywood Unreel with our guest Mike Kehoe. Look out for his work. You'll be seeing it soon, I'm sure.
We'll keep it. I'll come back when we get
Yeah.
this movie going.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike.
Good night.